Welcome back to Punk Rock Theologian. Today I want to revisit that idea from last week of firing the old head coach and getting someone else to come and take over. Because there's another side of that I think we need to be careful about in the Christian world. Sometimes you'll see a team that hasn't had a winning season in ages, and they'll bring in some new head coach that they think is going to be the answer to all their problems. And by the end of the season, they're not suddenly a championship caliber team, and so that guy gets fired too, and they bring in another one. This poor guy had 1 year to try to right all of the wrongs and completely turn things around. That's just not going to happen. In a team or an organization, there is stuff that is just the culture. That's the way things have been done and been going for years. And it takes a while to change course and start making a difference. This stuff won't happen overnight. The same is true in our lives. If you've spent years or decades living one way, and then you come to Jesus, you're not an entirely brand new life overnight. Spiritually speaking, you're a new creation. That's what he does. But the life that we live on planet Earth is going to look real similar the day after we meet Jesus than it did the day before, because we have a lot of ingrained patterns within ourselves. And so, for one, I'll say to be patient with yourself. Don't beat yourself up if you're still struggling with old habits that you don't want to do anymore. The simple fact that you don't want to do it anymore is the change already taking place. That's what Romans 12:2 calls letting God transform you into a new person by changing the way you think. That change is absolutely real, but it's not always going to be instantaneous. If you're already seeing it differently, the transformation is in progress. Let the change happen. And here's where I really need to call out to the more mature Christians, people who have been in this for a while, who have let God do more of that transformation on them, and you're a little farther down the road. It's so easy to then turn around and look down on the person who's still struggling with those things and forget that we struggled too. You can't judge them for still struggling. This happens way too much. And it's obviously nothing new because Paul was talking about it in Romans. Beginning of chapter 14 says, accept other believers who are weak in faith and don't argue with them about what they think is right or wrong. If you think you're one of the ones who is strong in faith, that you're the mature believers who understand these things, well, then what that really means is you're the one who should be able to give grace to the people who aren't in that spot. This is not saying to just absolutely overlook everything that anybody does and there's no such thing as right and wrong. Because Ephesians 4, verse 17 says, with the Lord's authority, I say this, live no longer as the Gentiles do, for they are hopelessly confused. Their minds are full of darkness. They wander far from the life God gives because they have closed their mind and hardened their hearts against Him. They have no sense of shame. They live for lustful pleasure and eagerly practice every kind of impurity. Paul is not afraid to call sin sin. He calls things out and says, look, you can't live this way anymore. It's time to make a change. You're living for God now, and it really should impact your life. He's looking for that transformation to take place. Later in Romans 14, he said, so why do you condemn another believer? Why do you look down on another believer? Remember, we will all stand before the judgment seat of God. A little bit later, he circles back. Yes, each of us will give a personal account to God. So let's stop condemning each other. Decide instead to live in such a way that you will not cause another believer to stumble and fall. The idea is not that you need to be the one who's calling them out on everything they do wrong, but he's saying very much, don't let yourself be the one that causes them to have problems. You worry about living the life that God called you to live. Show a good example. You don't need to criticize and tear people down. You just need to live the life God called you to live. This is how we help one another. Continuing into the next chapter, he says, we who are strong must be considerate of those who are sensitive about things like this. We must not just please ourselves. We should help others do what is right and build them up in the Lord. This is how we do this. We're all in this together, and we're all at our own stage of the journey. We've got to be willing to keep letting God transform us and to let Him transform the people around us too. It's not my job to transform you. It's not your job to transform anyone else. The Holy Spirit does that. So let's be patient with ourselves, patient with each other, and just keep looking to him and following him one step at a time.